Hey guys, this here is Getaway Driver 101, and today I'm going to be giving you a video on how to check your computer for stability issues. If there's any issues with your stability, or any issues with your overclocks, or even your Nvidia drivers, on how to fix your Nvidia drivers if there's problems with that. So if we go here to your CPU hardware monitor, you can install this here. I do recommend installing CPU hardware mod. Now when this boots up, CPU voltage is one thing you should always keep an eye on. So as you can see, mine's running relatively well. Occasionally it drops because the clocks are dropping. So anytime these here drop below 3 gigahertz, the voltage will drop. It's just because of how Windows likes to be. But as you can see, if I start an OCCT, which you can go install OCCT from OCCT. OCCT, you can get it for free. You get the free edition. From there, you uncheck CPU and RAM, and then manually check CPU, manually check memory, manually check VRAM. Set your CPU to 15-second cycling duration. Set your memory from 80 to 75. Set your VRAM from 80 to 75. Now this here is a high intense stability check, and you set it to 5 minutes. So you take the 1 hour timer over here, take the 1 hour timer and set it to 5 minutes. Let it run the 5-minute test. If the system doesn't crash, doesn't get memory errors, doesn't get CPU errors or anything like that, then you should be fine. Do not run it above normal. One, most modern systems are running automatic priorities, so there's no reason to run it above normal. If you do bump it above normal, you can run it to normal, advanced, and that's it. Don't go to real time, don't do any of that, because if you do, you will crash. Does not matter how good your computer is, it will crash it. Because this tool is not designed to run the system at 300%. It is designed to run the system on the edge or stability checked. It is literally a defend against stability. So as you can see, the system has gone 1 minute. The memory is at 78%. This graphics card is got all 12 gigs or 11 being used. 60% at 42C. 1.10 volt or 1.100. Memory is only hitting 42C. System wattage is not exceeded 200 watts, which is good. That means that the stability overall is staying stable. The clocks are staying stable. The clocks have dropped because temperatures have gone up. Temperatures have hit a high of 94C and have came all the way back down to 70. And that is because of system regulation. This tool will literally take your CPU, depending on how you configure it. That's why I said configure it to 15 is good, because 15 is a good cycling period for it to cycle between 1 core, 2 core, 3 core, 4 core, 1 core, 2 core, 3 core, core 4. And so far it keeps cycling, and as it keeps cycling, it keeps parking and unparking cores, swapping the process around, and keeping the temperature down below 94C. That is how the temperature is staying low, because it is swapping from, let's say, core 0 to core 2. Core 2 says, hey, I don't want it. Core 1 takes over. Core 1 takes over, then it passes it back to Core 2, and then Core 2 says, alright man, I'll grab it for now and give you a break. Then Core 2 says, no, I don't want it. And then core 3 says, nah, hey, I want it. And then core 4 says, nah, I'm faster than you. I'm going to take over. So then it jumps onto core 4. And then core 4 starts running it because it's now the fastest core. But now because it's now the fastest, it's going to be the one running the process the longest. So that's basically what it does. It's going to cycle. And that's why you don't want to bump it above normal. Because when you bump it above normal, and as the CPU is cycling, the last thing you want is the CPU to mistake a cycle and then error code. You want it to cycle at its normal pace, at the pace that it can. That's why 15 seconds is usually a really good cycling time, as well as keeping it on normal advancement is also a good way to keep it stable. So do not run your CPU above normal. Now for AI overclocking, as you can see, I have an i7 14700K. I've done AI overclocking on mine. I ran it like that for about a year. It ran fine. But the new current Windows updates break the AI overclocking because Windows went in interfering with Windows. Well, Jay's 2 cents made a video on that recently, which is pretty interesting. His video shows that his system, one of the systems that he had anyways in his shop, would take 2 to 3 minutes to boot and would also have weird cycling issues. It was related to AI overclocking and a few other weird wonky issues. No matter how powerful your system is, even if it's pristine, 40 series, 50 series, so on and so forth, i9, Ultra, AMD, X3D,
the test schedule is complete.
900, 9000, 9700 XT, X3D, whatever you have as far as a system goes, your system, even if it's top of the line, does not mean anything when it comes to stability. If your stability is wonky, it's going to run wonky, no matter how powerful your system is. So this tool here is a good tool to use, but keep it on auto. Keep your normal processing on normal. If you do bump it up, you can bump it up one. As you can see, I will show you what it's like on 1. So I'm going to bump all these up 1. But if you bump them up 1, you have to go below 70. You cannot run this above 70. If you do, you're risking a crash. Now, anything above normal would obviously risk a major crash. 1, because you're now trying to override the cardinal Windows, everything that is now running on the main layer of the system. So at that point, you're now conflicting with the actual system itself. So that's why I'm saying, you don't want to run too high of a priority. Anything from normal or advanced normal, that is your highest you want to run. But if you run advanced normal, you don't want to run no higher than 60%, because as you can see, I set it to 60 and it's doing 70. It's doing 10% more. That 10% more is Windows doing stability error correcting. That's Windows saying, hey, there's a high load. This load is using 60%. Since it's using 60%, Windows needs to go up at 2% more to make sure that Windows has everything it needs to run while this is running. So while this is running, Windows needs 2% more now. If you don't give it 2% more now, and we go from 60 to 70, we're gonna crash, and so that's basically what it's doing, is it's telling Windows, hey, this is running 60, but I need 10. I need 10 for me. So when it comes to your system, if you're stability checking your system, be cautious on how you're doing this. Do not go above your 80% threshold. Your 80% threshold above normal can crash your system. If you're running anything above normal, you need to be at the 60% threshold. Other than that, if your system passes all stability checks, as you can see, my system is passing stability checks pretty well. The voltage is hanging pretty hard. Not too high though. I mean, it did hit a 1.501, but I did turn all my AI overclocks off because of Windows new updates running kind of wonky. So when it comes to your system, just make sure that you're making sure everything is running as intended, because You can run fine for a long time and then get an update one day, and that update change how your system runs, and the next thing you know, your computer's running wonky. So right now I'm doing currently 9 FPS on the operating system, 5 FPS, 7 FPS. So as you can see, it is not crashed yet, but it has gotten all the way down to 3 FPS while the stream is running. So when it comes to this whole scenario, you're risking a lot of stability. So your system needs to be top of the line to withstand the stress, or you ain't gonna be able to withstand the stress on the test. So as long as you can withstand the strain, you're good. Thanks for watching. I hope this showed you how to properly test your system. Just do not go above 80%. If you do anything above normal, make sure it's only above normal on normal, and nothing above normal of normal. Make sure normal is always on one normal functionality, nothing above normal. Always make sure it's a normal functionality. Anything on above normal should be 60%. Cycling, 15 seconds. Other than that, I hope this showed you how to properly stability check your system for OCCT. So let's go ahead and move on to Nvidia. So Nvidia, every so often when you install your new updates, you do want to do a clean install. It is recommended to do a it's there, but it's like a ghost bug. It comes and goes. And that is usually related to driver pasting. It's where your driver wipes itself, says, hey, I did a clean install. And then it says, you know, after the clean install, I'm going to take this little piece that's left and just apply it to me. And then because of that, that little piece that it applies corrupts a small portion of the code. And over time, that updates get applied and keep getting applied. And that code corruption gets worse and worse and worse. And then eventually it starts breaking files, or the system itself just starts having more issues. So when it comes to drivers, number one culprit is usually your graphics card. Just be aware of that. As well as your secondary culprit will be chipset. Thirdary culprit will be any malicious installation that you have done. And make sure you have all C++ drivers installed. So for global settings, you can run RTX Vibrance. I have ran this, but I started running it on off on default. Because it's kind of weird. I noticed that when you run it, some games run like nice with it. And other games will have this like shimmering effect where like the corners up here will have this like diagonal static. And then it will kind of like stop right about here. And you'll kind of see like a ghosting outline of the other box. Kind of like the whole DLSS boxing. Like you could basically like see it. And was like, no, I can't do it no more. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it's just a small quirk with the new driver, or if my graphics card is corrupted again. It does happen. So no matter how strong your system is, you can deal with major issues. Your system could have an issue that could be there for years and you never know it. It could be one bug that you can never get rid of. And there are some computers out there that are like that have one specific problem and it's just there. It's just there. In other systems, you can go in and update them, get that problem gone, and it's gone for a long time. And then a new problem shows up. You fix that problem's gone for a long time, and then another problem shows up. Now all of a sudden you have a boot order issue or a boot timing issue. So when it comes to issues like that, you need to make sure that you're not installing anything malicious, and you need to make sure that your software doesn't get corrupted. Shader cache is a common culprit. Now, if you run shader cache higher than default settings, make sure you're doing a clean install on your drivers every at least once a year, as far as like a physical DDU. That's only recommended if your system is quirky. My system is quirky sometimes. It has its days, and I'm pretty sure that's because of where I live. I live in the city, and with cities, and where I live near big companies and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of electrical issues as far as like the area goes. So I probably get bad, like polluted electrical once in a while, and there's nothing I can do about that. But super resolution on, auto, high priority. Okay. Performance, voltage. If you mess with this, do not bump this above 40. I recommend 40 being the highest. I have mine on 35. Temperature target, up to you. You can leave it on default or move it. And then you have all your other settings. Now, I do recommend making sure your drivers are always up to date. Other than that, just make sure that if you turn on any settings that you know what you're turning on. And if you're changing settings in global, this setting here will interfere with your games. So will performance mode. Performance mode can actually take stutters away from your games, and it can apply stutters to your games. So performance mode is kind of like a double-edged sword. It is sometimes really good to have on normal, and is sometimes really good to have on performance. So if you, like, for instance, let's say you play Grand Theft Auto on PC, and let's say for some reason the game has a small stuttering issue that comes and goes, but is only there when you're moving at super speeds in the game, and the game is moving really fast, then that would more than likely be a graphics card megahertz issue, where the megahertz are bouncing around too fast, and it's responding late or too quick, and because of that, it's causing stutters. So the fix to that would be by going in and either turning low latency on, which I do recommend if your game does not have DLSS or frame gen. If for some reason your game is running wonky and you need something to smooth it out. And then performance mode. Performance mode will enforce max clock speed, will enforce a high power plan wattage / voltage to the application, and the application will say, well, I'm a low priority application. The computer will say, okay, well then you're going to get the minimum / maximum maximum voltage, and minimum / maximum minimum / maximum wattage. And then you're going to get like basically like a 50 or 100 watt and maybe a solid 1.0 volt. And so what that does is it usually will stabilize your application, and it will give you just a little extra wattage than beforehand. Now, that's only for games that are experiencing wattage dips and voltage dips randomly when rendering. The reason that would happen is because game companies are relying too much on AI. Not Grand Theft Auto, their game is 10 years old, so their game doesn't matter. But any other new game, really any other new game, I mean, you could even say Fortnite or even Call of Duty. These types of newer games, even the finals, them type of newer games that are using any type of AI rendering or high-speed rendering, or a specialty engine that uses smart technology rendering, that is all the same type of crap. I don't care what anybody says. The AI rendering might be different because that might be actual AI. But as far as the technology rendering crap goes, like, the faster, yeah, sure, that makes it zoom, 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 but then it makes it also more unstable. So you just need to make sure when it comes to stability that your system is not the culprit. That if it's a stability issue as far as stability, it needs to not be your hardware. It needs to be a software issue, or it needs to be a developer issue. So, if your system passes the benchmarks on OCCT, and your voltages look good, your AI overclocks are off, and all your power plans are fair, and you reset your settings with your graphics card, and then you went ahead and made sure that you had the right ones on and the right ones off as far as what settings you need, depending on the graphics card. Any Nvidia card should at least be running this system videoing on auto/high as far as Nvidia goes. That gives you the best quality / GPU functionality. So now you can run it on medium if you want, but I run it on high. But as far as performance goes, that's entirely up to you. I hope this helped you out with your system. When it comes to stability, it's usually just graphics card, power plan, or usually an update, bug, virus, if you're modding or installing stuff from GitHub, or WinRAR, or 7-zip, or Dolphin. I mean, it doesn't happen that often from Dolphin. Dolphin's actually pretty clean, usually. But it does still happen. Like, and I say usually because, like, there's still that 10% margin of error where something new could hit the platform. And you could be one of them. Could be that day that you happen to be clicking on new stuff and you download something new that has not been removed yet, and your shit gets compromised. So just make sure that you are doing your due diligence. It's your computer. If you're gaming on it, you're playing games on it, all that other stuff, go use TCP View. Go use auto runs. Go use Process Explorer. Check your system out. Make sure your system's not infected. Other than that, have a nice day. Hope this video helped. Thanks for watching. Like or subscribe.